Welcome back to Dirt Obsession, everyone. If you've been following the channel or the ATV market in general lately, you probably know that Polaris brought back the Scrambler XP1000 S in a mid-year release. We had some theories as to why the Scrambler S was missing from Polaris' initial 2022 ATV lineup that we discussed in a video that was wildly entertaining, despite its complete irrelevance now that the Scrambler S has returned. But in that video, we talked about the probability of the Scrambler S's absence being due to the manufacturing challenges that Walker Evans had with their suspension. Well, as it turns out, the suspension issue seems very likely to have caused the delayed release. And now that the Scrambler S is back, there's a particular group of owners who are pretty pissed at Polaris. So as the title of this video probably gave away, the owners who are upset with Polaris are the folks who purchased the 2022 Sportsman XP1000S. And in my opinion, it's with pretty good reason. So the intention of this video is to make potential new owners aware of what went on and hopefully point other buyers who may have been affected to the growing group of perturbed folks trying to get Polaris to make right what they deem a scam at worst and total BS at most. If this is you, check out the 2022 Polaris Sportsman XP1000S owners group on Facebook and you'll find some like-minded individuals in the same boat. It's probably totally obvious at this point to everyone that the off-road market was significantly impacted by COVID, and there's no doubt that that BS had a hand in what happened to the Sportsman S buyers. But here's what happened, and we want to hear from you in the comments what you think of all of this. The 2022 Sportsman S was released with the rest of the lineup back in July of 2021. In the press releases, Polaris highlighted their new Ride Command editions. While the Sportsman S was included in the release at that time, it was missing a key feature that even the most discernible eye could have missed. I know I did. The feature, of course, is the quick adjustable Walker Evans 2.0 shocks, which is pretty significant because it's a huge cost on the machine, if not a key selling point. The Walker Evans shocks that previously came on the Sportsman S weren't quite as adjustable as the Scrambler S's suspension, but they were still pretty premium. They had aluminum bodies with true crossover dual rate springs and 16-click compression adjustment. The adjustability of both the springs combined with the compression adjustment provides a ton of control for tunability of your suspension. It's pretty significant for premium ATV buyers because adding similar shocks in the aftermarket is going to cost around $3 to $5K depending on the brand and features. In 2022, the Sportsman S was released with what looks like a modified version of Polaris' OEM shock, very similar to what comes on the Sportsman XP1000. It has 5-way preload adjustment, which is a far cry from the adjustability of the Walker Evans shock. There's no doubt that the Sportsman S is still plush. It still has the same suspension travel numbers at 11.6 inches front and 14 inches rear, but it's definitely not apples to apples, at least in terms of adjustability. In retrospect, it's not surprising that the Walker Evans suspension wasn't available for the Sportsman, especially considering the Scrambler was likely delayed due to the same issue. But what leaves me a little confused is why Polaris didn't just wait to release the Sportsman S at the same time. I mean, that would have made sense. They have to expect that buyers at this price point are pretty discerning and obviously serious about their ATV. And that's what has all of the 2022 Sportsman S owners ranging from pretty annoyed to downright pissed. See, the other problem with the current state of the market is that it's incredibly difficult right now to roll into an off-road dealership and pick out exactly what you want. That was the norm just a few years ago, but the new norm is for the dealer to shrug his shoulders and offer to take a down payment to get you on a list to get a machine God knows when. So it seems a little shady that Polaris wasn't forthright with the change. And I know what you're thinking. It was a contract. They could have refused, but that would have put them in a position of either losing their deposit at worst, or at best having to start the whole process over again for a machine that these guys didn't have their hearts set on. Look, these S-model Scramblers and Sportsmans aren't my personal flavor, but I completely understand what guys like about them. They're more capable than any other machine, especially on gnarly trails. They're super cool for wide open desert riding, and the Sportsman S particularly has ridiculous cargo and towing capacity. So even though they're not for me personally, they're still a really cool ATV, and completely unique on the market. So I get why the Sportsman S owners are pissed. I would be too. The S models are ultra premium machines at ultra premium price points. They should have more than just the standard 5-way preload adjustable pogos that come on lesser models. In case you're wondering, the owner's Facebook group has reached out to their dealers and directly to Polaris. So far, the best offer of any kind of resolution is a $500 gift card for Polaris merchandise. It seems like a relatively decent consolation until you realize $500 isn't a fraction of what Polaris is saving, and it really doesn't go very far when you read the fine print and restrictions on the card. But at least they acknowledged in some small way that they screwed some people this year. Here's my bigger fear, and this is in part a criticism of Polaris's off-road division in general. I don't think Polaris ever had any intention of keeping the Walker Evans suspension on the Sportsman S, despite the $16,599 price tag. Polaris has been doing some things that in my mind are questionable with their ATV prices lately. Primarily slapping crap on their Sportsman 570 until it costs more than the old base model XP1000 from a couple years ago. And since we're on the topic of the base model XP1000, dropping that as an option forces buyers to spend at least $14,499 on the XP1000 Ultimate Trail. Some folks might be okay with that because of the features on the Ultimate Trail, but personally, I like a base model option because I can prioritize the extras by importance to me. So back to the original point, it seems Polaris is really trying to squeeze every penny they can out of their ATVs, when as recently as a few years ago, they were much more of a value option. For example, in 2018, I bought a base model XP1000 for less than the MSRP of a Grizzly 700. And yes, prices seem to be increasing across the board, but I'll pick on Polaris disproportionately, because they've made the biggest changes in their lineup that all seem to have directly been with the intent of squeezing every dime from their customers. I guess they've just sold so many side-by-sides that they get used to fools being easily separated from their money.